Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Hard Truth. Well, today's hard truth is not by power, not by might, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. And that comes from Zechariah 4 and 1. Now, remember, Solomon said everything's by time and chance. Well, evidently, it goes a bit deeper than that. Kohberger is fighting for his life, doing and best, and become bigger suspects every week. And the suspect pool for who actually did the violence in these Idaho 4 murders just became a lot more diverse. Listen, go grab your best coffee or a nice cup of tea as we begin our story. Okay, before I get started with my first point, I just would like to say a couple of things. Okay, first of all, I believe there might not even be a trial by the time we get through the preliminary hearing. There may not ever be a trial because at this point, the DNA is not going to hold up. Okay, the DNA allowed for several search warrants and lab reports to be ordered. The DNA got him through the door to be able to look into this man's life, pretty much invade his family's life. Okay, and so when it's all said and done and the dust settles, they don't have enough to convict this man. And if some of his rights have been violated, it's just getting ready to turn into a clown show here. And I'm going to give you my prediction as to how it's going to go a little further in this video. But I also wanted to say that, I'm not going to spoil my own subject. All right, well, let's get going. Let's move on to our first point.
This court has reasonably and correctly recognized that the proper path forward is a hearing where the parties may show what evidence there is of prejudice and the potential for prejudice to Mr. Cobberger's 6th and 14th Amendment rights to a fair trial from the removal of the non-dissemination order in this case.
Okay, did you hear that? Brian Kohberger has rights now. 6th and 14th Amendment rights. Okay? And so if they're talking like that, okay, let me show you something. On the document he was reading, the lawyer, it says, because the media coverage of this case has been intense and because Mr. Kohberger plans on providing expert testimony on its damaging effects. Listen, he's preparing to do his dissertation on the stand. He's getting ready to provide expert testimony on damaging effects. We're getting ready to get a long speech on everything he's learned in criminology. And then the most insane thing that I get from this is that his focus is not on the death penalty or being accused of murder at all. His mind is focused on this opportunity to practice law, okay? To practice being a criminology researcher, okay? These are areas of prominence for a criminology student. These last two sentences show that his focus is 100% on giving expert testimony. And I'm going to tell you something else. His family has not put their house up for mortgage up either to get a private lawyer. They're betting on Brian still. Mr. Kohberger still has his money on his son, okay, in this court battle. So we have to look at these things. All right? What do you think? In my very first YouTube video, I told you that the car that they were talking about in these body cams and press conferences and stuff, I told you from day one it wasn't Brian Kohberger's car. I've made probably 2 or 3 videos after this one. And then I told you in this video that we should question the DNA and the knife sheath and not just, take it as a given because this is what was told to us. And then I told you in A Gift to Latah County, Brian's perspective on all this, or what it likely would be, okay? Leading up to this, I told you what his disposition likely would be on a day like today. And it actually is, because he's thinking like a researcher right now, not someone that's worried about going to death row. All right?